Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the order of the Columbia Heights Public Schools Independent School District 13 regular school board meeting of Tuesday, March 25th, 2014. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Missy, would you call roll, please?
Meyer.
Here.
Landwehr.
Here.
Larkin.
Here.
Bardell.
Here.
Palmer.
Here.
Lee here.
Thank you very much. As is our custom, our mission statement, Columbia Heights Public Schools create worlds of opportunity for every learner in partnership with supportive small-town communities by challenging all to discover their talents, unleash their potential, and develop tools for lifelong success. Also, as is our custom, our core values in this district are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. Next on our agenda is agenda approval adjustments, announcements, and correspondence. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Lori. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion is carried. Thank you. Announcements, April 7th, no school, it's a grading day. April 8th, Tuesday, 7 p.m. is a regular school board meeting right here in the community room. April 15th, Tuesday, 6 p.m. is a school board work session in the community room. April 18th, Friday, there's no school. April 23rd, Tuesday, 7 p.m., a regular school board meeting here in the community room. Superintendent Kelly, any correspondence this evening?
Mr. Chair, members, there's no correspondence.
Very good, thanks. At this time, any citizen or employee may briefly address the school board. The board will listen to brief remarks, ask clarifying questions, and if desired, request that the administration follow up. However, the board will not take action to this meeting on requests presented at this time. Anybody like to speak before the board? Don't see anybody. Why don't we move ahead? Next agenda item is acknowledgments of contributions. I mess this up every time. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
So second.
Motion by Ted, seconded by Missy. I know this is a resolution. Let me read it. Minnesota Statute 123B02 permits school boards to receive for the benefit of the district bequests, donations, or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. In that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district and for the benefit of pupils thereof. Therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools Independent School District number 13 that the school board accepts with appreciation the contributions detailed in the background in the amount of $4,896.90. The monetary donations are a donation of $36.90 was made to Valley View Elementary by Lisa Mora for student needs. A donation of $2,500 was made to Columbia Heights High School by Chicago Region Toyota dealers through their Drive for Education program. The following donations were made to Columbia Heights High School Scholarship Fund, Fridley Lions Club, $2,000. Value in kind, donation of adult uniform shirt to Valley View Elementary from Embroidery and More, estimated value of $10. Donation of a Selmer clarinet to Valley View Elementary from Charles Halpert, estimated value of $350. Total fiscal year 2013-2014 monetary contributions to date, $32,403.51. Any discussion on the contributions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, exactly. Would you call the roll, please?
Palmer.
Aye.
Bardell.
Aye.
Larkin.
Aye.
Landwehr.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Lee. Aye.
Very good. Did I forget it again? All right. One of these days. Do I have a motion to move the consent agenda forward?
I'll move that forward.
Second.
Motion by Missy, second by Lori. Any conversation, any comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion is carried. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for indulging me, everybody. All right. Reports from members of the board. Board members will report on board activities since the last regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education. Who isn't here? Who should I pick on first? John?
I have nothing that you want to hear to report tonight.
Fair enough, thank you. Lori?
The only thing I have to report is I was at the Hilltop City Council meeting last Monday. And that's it, since the
All
last
right.
board meeting, so,
Yeah, well, last week was spring break, so,
yep, no spring activities.
well, okay, midwinter break, how's that?
That works.
Ted?
I had a telephone meeting with Superintendent Kelly, a couple weeks ago, I think it is now. And then also a brief meeting before this, meeting with Superintendent Kelly and Chair Bardell. Also went to the, Columbia Heights High School PTO meeting last night. And they are, in the process of organizing for next year. They're focusing on, they're gonna try to squeeze in some fundraisers, this year, a movie night perhaps, and a dance at the high school. Trying to get more parents, into the schools, and, everybody knows the importance of parent involvement, in the high school. And, we're trying to engage parents as much as possible. So very exciting that that group is up and running. Then I also went to a chamber, expo, and a legislative breakfast and Lions meetings and talking with constituents.
All right, thank you very much. Laura?
Well, I had the great pleasure of attending the SECA event, Empty Bowls, and John was there as well. I think he forgot about that. But anyway, so that was quite nice. The students from the academy went over and played for the crowd. It seemed like it was very well attended. And one of the neat things about it, other than SECA is a really wonderful food sharing, I guess you would say, program, is that there was a lot of pottery there that students had made, and just the creativity. I was just kind of going, oh, these are just beautiful. I just love them. I wanted to frame them all, which is kind of silly. So I attended that, so that was absolutely awesome. And then I had a meeting with a constituent, and I actually have some information that I'm going to be giving to the superintendent, and perhaps she will move forward with that. So that's pretty much it.
All right, thanks. Missy?
Nothing to report.
All right. The thing I want to report is teacher conferences were the Thursday before spring break, so I attended those. And of course, as Member Landwehr said, meeting with Superintendent Kelly and Ms. Landwehr right before this meeting. So with that, Superintendent Kelly.
Well, Mr. Chair and members, Director Brian Hannekins and Principal Jeff Sosick and TIE's Executive Director Betty Schweitzer presented at the Minnesota Association of School Administrators Conference about 2 weeks ago. The topic was focused on laying the groundwork for 21st century learning, and the session was well attended and I think useful for people, and it was really a pleasure and an honor to represent our school district there. The Aligning Technology with 21st Century Learning continues to meet after school in work-study sessions. And there will be an invited external stakeholder meeting for a focus group for feedback on our work, and that'll be in April. And once that's done, then we will bring back some of that work, once it's been informed by external folks, back to you to show you what we're up to. But we're very excited about that. We have quarterly meetings with Northeast Metro 916, and so the 916 Superintendent Advisory met last week during spring break, and we had our quarterly meeting, and the focus was really ambitious for the agenda. As Laura would know, there's lots of new and possibly remodeled construction projects to consider. There was the opening with Carner Blue, and then there's the what I call the Lake Elmo land site with on possible new construction there, and then the big discussion about what to do with Capitol View. And so I'm sure that Laura, as things progress, will be giving more information, but the superintendents chewed on that a little bit. We had some presentations by superintendents at the meeting that had that were presenting what they were learning from the District Management Council in the area of the special education study. And Director Hollaby will be talking a little bit tonight about what we're learning from ours. It was very, very interesting, and actually Mounds View had studied not special education, but their middle school. And so the superintendent from Mounds View presented on that. So we feel like we're really getting our money's worth out of that collaborative. There's one more year left. It's a 3-year project. They have contracted and have embarked on 50 schools across the United States looking at this. So that was very, very exciting. And the last proposal we looked at there, and I'm sure that probably the 916 board will be looking at it as well, and we're certainly discussing it here at the management level, is looking at academic results and their and the return on the investment and how that impacts student achievement. So that was what was going on with us last week. And then we have, I just wanted to update you that the high school permanent replacement for the principal selection process continues. The posting closed yesterday, and so now we're in the process of reviewing the files, and we will have interview committees and a community forum. The community forum is April 14th in this room at 6:30. I will post for the board so that if you all or some want to come, you certainly are welcome to that, as are members of the community. And so that will happen at 6:30. And then we hope to have a recommendation to the board by the end of April. I spent yesterday morning at Highland Elementary reviewing critical issues and opportunities for staff and students in that building, and I want to thank the Highland staff, and particularly Principal DeWitt, for allowing me to come over. I left with a little bit of snowflakes and came back in a snowstorm. It was just kind of crazy. As everyone has talked, I've had multiple meetings with Chair Bardell and members, and then telephone chats too, and I've enjoyed them all, so thank you for your time. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much, Superintendent Kelly. Next on our agenda this evening is Valley View Elementary's vision card, and our presenters this evening are Dwayne Burkus and Principal Willie Fort from Valley View Elementary.
Good evening, Chair Bardell, Superintendent Kelly, members of the board. Always pleased to be here with Superintendent Kelly, with Principal Fort, to be able to describe and hear him describe really the good work that goes on at Valley View Elementary. Principal Fort is a leader for us in many ways. Always good for me to be able to hear his thoughts on different things, so I would love to pass it on to him and make sure that he has time to describe himself, all the good work that's there. And really, again, describing for us how at Valley View they are fulfilling the mission of our school district to create worlds of opportunities for every learner. So I will pass it on to Principal Fort.
Good evening, Chair Bardell, Superintendent Kelly, and other directors. I'm going to present our strategic plan scorecard. First thing I want to talk about is the core values piece. There are several that I think that we promote, district core values that we promote at Valley View. First one is community. Last spring, some of our staff and myself did some door knocking in our attendance area. We handed out approximately 150 school flyers to community members. Our school carnival, annual school carnival this year is going to be April 11th. Board member Lori Meyer visited us last year, and Superintendent Kelly has also attended in the past. It's a huge event. We had over 900 people in attendance last year. Our picnic, we are moving the picnic. We traditionally had carnival, and then the picnic would be about a month later. We decided that we want to spread out those events, so we're going to have our picnic in the fall, either September 19th or September 26th. We thought that so many of our staff members talked about meeting some family members and doing some bonding and what have you, and we decided, why don't we do that at the beginning of the year, and they can hopefully build some working relationships throughout the year. So we're going to go with the fall. That's a new change. On April 26th, we are having our first annual Valley View Run Walk. It's a 5K or 3-mile event. It's going to be on the campuses of Valley View and Columbia Heights, so nothing off campus. It's open to the public. Registrations on our website is accessible through the website. Excellence, another core value. Last year, Valley View was mentioned as a celebration, honored as a celebration school. And this past year, we missed it by less than a point being a celebration school again. So we feel as though we have a solid academic program at Valley View. Collaboration, we have a partnership with the Home Depot in Fridley. Of course, our partnership with the DARE program and Columbia Heights Police. Our police readers still come to our classrooms. And then the Terry program, which is a collaboration with the University of Minnesota. All of our elementaries have student teachers, quality student teachers that come to our elementaries. We have currently 6 individuals. They're either currently employed or they're student teaching. And of course, the supervising teachers that we turn over to those student teachers are quality individuals that promote excellence in our school. Our enrollment is up about 50 students, over 50 students from where we were at the end of last year. That red line there is kind of the mid-year point of numbers of students that we've had. We tend to get more students as the year goes on, which I think is good. And we're pretty stable. We've been about 550 all year this year. And actually, our outlook for kindergartners for next year for us, is the highest that it's been at this point. So that's kind of the outlook for the future. Demographics, pretty much in line with other Columbia Heights schools. We gained a few percentage points in our Hispanic enrollment. Everything else is pretty much in line there. Our free and reduced is up 2 points. Our English learners percentage is down 3 points, and our special ed population is about the same. You've probably heard about the reading test and the Common Core. We, as well as a lot of other schools in Minnesota, realized a drop. There was pretty much a double-digit drop throughout the state, and we dropped as well, 20-point drop in reading from where we were before, 23, and our science went up a point, and we were 6 points down in math. So, and I said a slight gain in science. We're hoping for that at least 50+ percentage in science for next year. Strategic roadmap, I thought I'd mention a couple of letters that we feel as though that we do pretty well and that we're focusing on. Letter B, innovate to close the achievement gap with accountability and efficiency. We require ILPs, which are individual learning plans for all of our students not meeting proficiency. And that's done pretty religiously every year for several years now. We think it makes a difference. We have lots of discussions about the achievement gap, and what my stance has always been, if we are truly individualize the instruction for each and every kid, that should help us with the achievement gap and hopefully help to narrow the achievement gap. Letter E, tell our story, brand development, reputation management to increase partnership and enrollment. Our uniforms are a good visual display of who we are. Our AVID program is a new focus for us, and we feel as though it helps us with our college readiness preparation and helps us promote the academic status of our school. I thought I would primarily address the items that are level 3 or lower. If you have any questions about those that are higher, please feel free to ask. A5 is the first one that's a level 2. and it's the one regarding 21st century skills. Part of what we do at Valley View, and those skills of collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication, I ask that the teachers, and we use a little code, when they do lesson plans, and I observe lesson plans, when they do the lesson plans, I ask them to put one of those concepts, at least one of those concepts by any particular subject, at least one of those per week. And so when I review the plans, I can see that teachers it's a way of keeping the awareness of some 21st century concepts in their daily planning, and hopefully they infuse those concepts and their instruction around some 21st century learning. A9 is, we feel like we're at level 3, which is baseline, because primarily engineering curriculum is addressed in our science lab for intermediate grades. We haven't assimilated this curriculum in all grade levels and all subjects, so that's kind of why we feel like we're at level 3 for the STEAM. A13 is, we moved from level 3 to level 4. And that was added because we added more events. We had a big success with our literacy night this year, and we've focused on literacy as a school-wide theme this year because of our drop, and we wanted to really focus on literacy this year. We had a literacy night that was very successful, and I think I have some more comments about that coming up. B1 and 2, we just finished our data days. Data days, each grade level gets a half a day to review all their students' assessments at a particular grade level. For example, unit tests, read well, status, CBMs, MAP, and for the 3rd through 5th grades, it would be the online math tests. And most of our students have taken the online test, math test, 2 times. And they strategically plan whether the kids take it a second time or not. And so our window for testing starts on March 31st, and that is for math. And the window's open all the way up through May. So it's getting into testing season. So after the teachers look at the data, and they formulate the kids into tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, and then they make plans, intervention plans for those students. They put the students in small groups for their instruction, and this is our hope and our intent is that this is going to personalize, individualize, and be a prescriptive program for those kids to improve, that we're going to meet their needs in these small groups. So that is where we feel like we are with levels, with letters B, 1 and 2. B5, this is just a straight data from our reading test last year, so that's why we're in level 1 for that. I already talked about why we had the drop. B6 is math. As a school, we tend to perform better in math than reading. We'd like to equalize that as much as we can, but as of now, we're at 71%, so that's why we're level 4. B7 science, as I stated, we are 1 point away from that reaching level 5, which is 50% or higher. So we are, again, focusing on some efforts to get our science scores up. B8, the reading gap increased as a result of the scores going down.
And again, just to remind us, that's because the test was changed.
The test was changed and was a lot more difficult. And when we get to some literacy information, I'll kind of explain about what we're doing now to try to prepare for that.
Great.
Okay, B14 talked about their enrollment increased by 50 students. Part of what happened with that is it's more challenging to get the behavior numbers down because, well, we have more students. So our baseline data that we were using before is skewed. So we're trying to make some adjustments there.
Because that's an absolute number, right? I mean, It's not a.
Yeah, it's based on referrals, based on, yeah, the tendency that you have, if you have more students, is that you might have more behavior referrals. So we're trying to work on that. Okay, SMART goal for literacy. We missed our goal by 7 percentage points. Again, we're working hard to get back on track and start heading in the positive direction for literacy. Math, we're in the ballpark, but we were 71%, which is 4 points short of our goal. Same way, we're still continuing to focus on math, have a lot of good professional development going on for our teachers there. Science, already talked about our 1 point gain from last year. What we do plan on doing, and the teachers already know, so we can start preparing and doing some professional development, we're going back to a full science co-teaching model, which was, I think, originated about 4 years ago. And since I've been there, we've made some adjustments and adaptations with that model, basically because we had a Read Well program that came out, and we came up a little short on having time to give the instruction for Read Well. We had some other requirements that we felt were important, like the progress monitoring. So we kind of had a hybrid model for that co-teaching, but we're going back to a full science co-teaching model next year. And I've talked to the science teacher and asked her to align her curriculum and the curriculum that they have with what the teachers are supposed to be doing and their expectations for the science standards at every grade level, that we can align that, make it easier for classroom teachers to get the science instruction completed. I already kind of talked about this, about the questionable referral piece. So we're trying to make some adjustments. Do have some good news about the second bullet point there. Our referrals of African American students have gone down from 68% of the students that make up our total number of referrals to 54%. Now that's where we are as of right now, with several months of school left, but we're on the right track in that direction. Okay, here's some areas of focus and things to celebrate. Focus on literacy. Our academic committee has focused on more writing and reading. Professional development has continued from the summer work on the priority standards. We are addressing the Common Core standards by aligning lessons and the Minnesota standards to the identified priority standards. We're trying to work smarter, not harder. So with the time that we have, we are trying to address those priority standards and not, I guess we have such limited time that we're trying to figure out a way to get the most bang out of our buck for the instructional time that we have. And so we're making an effort to do that. Focus on literacy still is the increased rigor in literacy, and this is what I said I'd come back to. We've ratcheted up our reading expectations to align with a grade level jump because of the Common Core standards. We increased our expectations by 1 year. For example, a third grader to meet the proficiency standard must now be reading at a 4th grade level, and so forth for each grade. So we've made our own adjustments in-house, so we have a more realistic picture of what the Common Core is expecting, where the Common Core is expecting us to be. So we're hoping that that's going to make a difference. And then I was going to tell you more about our family literacy night. First time we did that, we had over 100 people attended. The teachers modeled a read aloud, and it was done in the gymnasium. They asked comprehension questions, so they were basically modeling for parents how to, ways to read to the kids, ask questions about whether they are understanding what's being read. They talked about other resources about the parents can access to help their children. They gave out, each child got a book. They gave out flashcards, and there was a library card sign up. The public library was there that night, and they did a number of families that signed up for library cards that night. focus on math. We're doing some excellent work. One of our kindergarten teachers is facilitating the Region 11 math training. All kindergarten through second grade teachers, including EL and special ed, are going to these trainings. There's 5 topics. They meet a total of 5 times throughout the year. And thanks to the Teaching and Learning Department, they have minimized the teachers being out of the building. So Mr. Burkus talked to the Region 11 folks and said that we wanted to participate, but we didn't want our teachers out of the building so often. So it's really down to a minimal, the amount of time that they're out of the building. They've had a number of Saturday trainings that they have attended. The math program is called the Rational Number Project. University of Minnesota professors teach our teachers and other teachers throughout the metro. They focus on number sense and addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And this training supports some previous training that we had called cognitively guided instruction. So the teachers find that it's been very helpful to have had that previous training as well as what they're receiving now. Teachers analyze data, they make and review SMART goals. What I have found is the teachers have more confidence in their instruction, and they've figured out ways to help the students do more mathematical thinking and problem solving. You know, I witnessed kindergarten teachers as well as all of our teachers, because 3rd through 5th grade went to the same training the year before, that they not only ask for answers. When they ask for answers, they really look to dwell deeper into how you got it, and kids need to be able to explain the process they went through to get the answers. And this is part of what we're saying about 21st century learning is the kids need to be able to do more problem solving. And so I think it's been very intriguing, and I'm glad that we participated this year. The next piece is the flipped math training that our teachers have done, and part of what they're doing is the flipped math is where teachers make lessons. They put them on a video. First of all, they look at the standards and make sure that the lessons are addressing the standards. They put the lessons on video. The kids view either on their laptops, iPads, or tablets. They view the lessons during their math instructional time. So there's a group that's doing that. Generally, the teacher's doing some instruction to a small group at the same time. The kids look at the video, and then there's questions through this program called Schoology that's related to the particular lesson. And there's a very low margin of error. So if the kids miss only like a couple of problems, so they really have to have an understanding of what it is that they viewed, what will happen is they're locked out of the program, and then their name goes up, and the teacher sees the name, so the teacher will come around and provide assistance right then and there. And if there's several kids that are having a problem with the same concept, then that's who the teacher will meet, work with in the small groups while the other kids are working on the laptops. So it's kind of a relatively new concept in education, and we're enjoying it. We don't know about the results of where we are or how we're going to do. I guess we'll find that out shortly, but that's one program that we're working with over at Valley View. Okay, and this AVID, of course, our 3rd grade teachers and myself went to training last summer in the AVID program. And I was excited to have the opportunity to be a part of the AVID program. I had some experience with it at a middle school and senior high level in a previous employment. This elementary version that we have is, I guess the intrigue was that the kids not only develop some practical skills around organization, but most importantly to me is they start to develop an intrinsic motivation to want to attend school and to have a goal in the future. So that was my intrigue about it, is that they're not only just thinking about completing this year, they're beginning to think about middle school, and they're thinking about high school, and they're thinking about beyond that. So that was one of the pieces that was intriguing to me with this program. Wicker WICOR, W-I-C-O-R, is an acronym for Writing, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading, which is incorporated into all the third grade classrooms. We still use our same third grade curriculum, but it's how it's approached through the AVID program. The kids do learn note-taking, which is something I never learned, absolutely never learned. I do have a dean that is a lot younger than I, and she said she had note-taking, I think, in high school, so you can see a generation gap, but I never had it. Elementary, again, 2-column notes, and then the more sophisticated are 3-column notes that they will work up to, and they're called Cornell notes, I think, at the middle and upper grades. With this program, they have, the part of the organizational piece is they have agendas for their organization with the monthly calendar, and of course it has all their work in there, their assignments, and they have a 3-ring binder. Over 90% of the families, and the requirement is that basically the parents can see what was done during the day because they document at their different subjects what was done. If there's homework that's required, if the parent has to review it or sign off or whatever. So, and every single night the parent signs off, and we're at over 90% of our participation of our parents signing off for our third graders. So that's a way to kind of draw the parents into our educational program and to hopefully get some excitement and momentum about the future. I think, let me see, that's it for AVID. Attendance is a piece that we have taken on over the last 2 years. Our dean is mostly, and our social worker are responsible for the outcomes that we've gotten from our attendance policy. As you can read there on the bullet points, teams meet at least once a month, so this was a requirement starting I think this year, the requirement for meeting. One of their meetings a month is around attendance. They review their particular spreadsheet of their kids, how many absences they have, their excused, unexcused, how many tardies, and there's benchmarks of when calls are made home or contacts are made. The teachers are required to make the initial contact about their unexcused absences, and then at a point, I guess at the last point, before a truancy filing to the county is made, I make a phone call to those parents, and just as a heads up or a notification to parents that we want their children in school. The more they're in school, the more they're going to learn, and we want to support them. And if there's any help we can provide to help to make sure that they're there, that we offer that help. So that's kind of the nature of those phone calls. So made a 2-point increase over a period of a year. This one is a little positive PR that we received August 28, 2013 in the Star Tribune. Valley View was mentioned as one of the schools that beat the odds, and part of the criteria for beating the odds was a fairly high free and reduced lunch rate. And as you can see under reading, we were number 5 out of 10 that were listed there for our percentage of proficiency. So even at the low number that we thought was low, which was a drop, it was all relative because it was a drop for lots of other schools. So we were proud of that acknowledgement. Actually, I was a little surprised, and then it just took me a little while to figure out. We did 71% proficiency for our math, but our poverty level is not 92.9, which is the lowest of that group that's there for math, as you can see at the top there. So that's why we didn't make that area, was because the poverty level wasn't high enough. So a little positive PR for our school. Our partnership with Home Depot, I mentioned that earlier. They have done some things. They helped us paint our front entryway. They've donated some supplies for our school beautification. They've given us some containers for our lost and found. And we're looking for more involvement as we continue our relationship with them. That is what I have to present. Are there any questions over anything?
Well, I always have something to say. I'm really happy to hear that the focus is on problem solving, and I guess my main comment is that I can see that you're leading by example. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to congratulate you on involving parents and finding ways to get parents involved and aware of what's going on in the classroom. That is something that research has shown is very positive and very effective. So I think that'll pay off really with a lot of good results.
Yeah, thank you. We part of the reason why this is the second year we've done an African American family night included as well, because that's 33% of our population, and we wanted to involve those families as much as we could. The first year that we did it, I had some of this same data that I reviewed with the families that were there. And there was some really good information that I displayed, and then there were some areas that we obviously needed to improve upon, and we talked about those areas and mentioned that this is a partnership with the school, myself, and families, and we want to, in order for us to be successful, we need to work together. So that was mentioned a year ago. This past year, I was not in attendance because of my medical situation, but we look forward to continuing that particular that work for our school.
I just want to add one of the most effective strategies I learned about at a national conference is when fathers read to their children. For some reason, that has a big impact. So it sounds like we're on the right track to making that happen.
Yeah, thank you.
John, any comments, questions? Down there?
Okay. We're seeing the ceiling from up here.
I don't have any questions, Mayor.
Thank you.
It's not the ceiling, but
Awful lot of good things going on down at Valley View, so thank you for sharing those with us. I'm just curious about sort of old news. Have the uniforms met your expectations? Are they still working, set up?
Yes, we've received a lot of positive feedback from our families. I haven't heard any concerns that have been expressed to me. Our enrollment is up for some reason, either because of some of our positive information that we have publicized, or because of maybe the uniforms. Our kindergarten enrollment is higher than it's been ever for us. Generally, we drag a bit in our enrollment prior to summertime, and then we pick up pretty quickly as we get closer to school. So as of now, it's not outstanding enrollment at kindergarten, but it's higher than we've been before. So I am very satisfied with where we are right now, and we're making some arrangements. We just had the owner of the company that we work through talked to her yesterday about getting some more inventory. She's offering some different options down at her store that we're not going to take that on, as far as some jumpers and things like that. We're going to stick with what we are currently doing. We're not getting into the clothing business, but it's nice to have the options for those parents that want them. So I think I would say that it's been successful.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. All right, next on our agenda, we have Nicole Hallaby, who's our Director of Student Services, and she's going to talk to us, give us some information on a class size study that the Metro EXU completed.
Thank you, Chair Bardell, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. Trying to see if my 21st century learning is hard to get. I said, I know how to get into a PowerPoint, but how do you get out of it?
Don't you just turn the computer? No, never mind.
Yeah, I just couldn't see it. There it is, thank you.
From the beginning.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Microsoft makes it so easy, don't they?
I apologize. So Metropolitan EXU, which acronym stands for Educational Cooperative Service Unit, and so from here forward I'll refer to it as EXU. We are pleased to be members of them. They offer some fantastic staff development for principals, licensed staff, some of our EAs. They offer some great staff development. But one of the things that I get most excited about every year is they allow us to participate. They encourage the districts to participate in their annual class size study. And this is the 5th year they've offered it and the 5th year that we've participated. And I always say, they always shoot me an email back and say, you're always the first district to get your information in. So I'm hoping at one point they'll give us a prize. But we get so excited about it that we stay late at night to get these numbers in. So again, here's our mission statement. And I really want to focus on the collaboration and our core values with Metro EXU because it is a collaboration of the districts in the metropolitan area out through the third ring suburbs. In this study, 40 schools this year participated in their class size study. And of the districts that participate are the only ones who get the data back. If you don't participate, they don't share the data with you. Just want to remind you that the numbers come from the October 1 count. And just another clarifying point is that at the academy and at the secondary, so what they call the junior secondary and the secondary, no attempt has been made to include every subject. So they select the subjects that we enter the classes for. We don't have any latitude to say, well, we want to, compare this class to another class. So I apologize if this is hard to read. I did highlight it just so you can see where our district is. Any of the board members that would like a full copy of the full report, I'd be happy to get it to Mrs. Hoyman. She can get it to you. So as you know, we're District 13, so that is what's highlighted. This is an overview. I'd like to just start with showing you where our elementary is at compared to the other 39 districts, our academy, our senior high, then they combo, so it would be our academy and our high school in that second to the last column. And then there is a K-12 snapshot from October 1st where we compare to the other districts that participate as far as class size. This is the elementary. So you can see it begins with kindergarten, grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's grade 5. We don't have a grade 6 in our elementary, so that's not counted, and we don't have combo or upgraded. This is our academy, so what they call junior secondary. Art. The next one that we have would be health. Interdisciplinary, which they define as engineering. Language arts or English. Math. Music, which they include band, vocal music, physical education, and science. These are all the academy. Social studies, special education classes, and world languages. This is our high school, so you can see art, business ed / marketing, family and consumer science or FACS, health, language arts, English, math, music, physical education, science, social studies, special education, technology ed, computer science, work experience, and world languages. So as you can see, our elementaries continue to, based on the board reporting, requiring us to keep them very small. It's very appealing. We tend to be on the smaller end of the metro. The academy varies. Most of them tend to be on the smaller end or average. The high school, the board has set the ratio of 30-1, and in every class with the exception of physical education and music, which band and choir clearly are, we want them to be larger than 30 kids in the class. They still are under that 30-1, but they do tend to be a little bit larger than the other districts that are reporting in the metro. Do you have any questions?
Questions, comments for Nicole, next study?
I would actually like a copy of that. Thank you. We can
And it
put
also
that in
has the
update.
cheat sheet with all the district numbers on there, so you can compare.
Yes, and I will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It looks like you're on for the District Management Council Special Education Recommendations, which is our next agenda item this evening.
Quick learner. I may not be the most tech savvy, but I remember when somebody tells me something. Thank you very much for having me back to back here. I'm really pleased again to do a presentation on the District Management Council, which we'll refer to as the DMC. And this, as you know, is the organization that we've contracted with to do 3 years of work with us, beginning with a survey, interviews. They've had meetings at 916 with the directors. They've had meetings individually here with us in our district, interviewed a wide variety of staff, met with administration, met with the superintendent, of course, as well as we had some joint meetings with superintendents from 916 and directors to talk about the progress in our studies. So we're really excited. I was here last time sharing with you the study and the survey process, but now, sorry to make it redundant and come back twice in a row, but I do have the recommendations, and a committee in the district has been working on an action plan, so I'd like to share that this evening with you. So we're really looking at excellence, collaboration with DMC and with the 916 districts, and the courage to really look at what we're doing in our district and how we can improve and use innovation to make student achievement better and better support kids. So it's a 3-year process, as I said, and we're now in year 2 in 13-14. And some of the recommendations that have come from DMC, and then I'll discuss with you what the action plan that the district is in discussion with that I wanted to let you know. So some of the recommendations are elementary reading intervention for grades 3 to 5, staff development in specific content areas for special education teachers, skilled behaviorists versus educational assistants, continue double dosing of math and English at Columbia Academy, and also do that in the high school. And what that means is, as you know, we're on an every other day schedule, so it would be every day for certain students in math and English. Better solutions to due process, increase student contact time in speech and language, increase social workers, school psychologist support, and educational assistance study, which will occur in the spring through DMC, and then training in what they call their DM, District Management Planning Software Tool. So I'll discuss in the action plans in a little bit more detail what we are proposing to do. So the current model of K-12 through the Reading Corps, Reading Specialists, and our current reading curriculum has really provided some really strong data for the last few years that it has increased our student achievement in grades K through 2 in the area of reading. So really what DMC is saying and what our data has shown that's been successful for K through 2 is that we would like to expand that to grades 3 through 5. There's no reason, based on DMC's national research and based on our data that we have, how successful it's been for K through 2, that it will not replicate and be extremely successful in 3 through 5. And then secondly, in collaboration with teaching and learning, develop a staff development plan for special education teachers in specific content areas where reasonable and appropriate. And we were talking about, at the secondary in particular, a special ed teacher can't possibly be a content expert in every single subject. I know myself, when I was a special ed teacher for 20 years, once the kids got into the higher level mathematics and physics, it was time for me to turn it over to a math teacher and a science teacher to help me help them. So, but to get them staff development in areas that will really enhance what they're already strong at. And then third, pilot a skilled behaviorist in one building. What they were recommending at the DMC and what we've seen work in other districts, but we like in this district, as you know, to start small, see if it works, and then discuss with the board on replication, is to have somebody who's very skilled in behavior intervention, in functional behavioral assessments, I'll promise not to use the acronyms, and a behavioral intervention plan, so FBAs and BIPs, as we call them, so that we really can work with teachers, work with EAs, work with lunch staff, custodians, et cetera, and parents, and really make sure that kids are being successful in their behavior so that they can learn. Because as you heard from Principal Ford prior, they've got some great things going on in their building, some fantastic teachers, great curriculum, but if the kids can't sit still and can't behave in class, it's gonna be difficult to learn. So we'd really like to look at piloting it in one building. And then a double dose of math at the high school, but differentiating the delivery model. So they wouldn't be getting the identical math lesson 2 days in a row. Maybe they'd get pre-teaching one day and then the lessons the next day. Or maybe they would get reteaching the next day, or some games, some more hands-on tactical things to learn the skills that they need to learn in math. We would like to start with math. The recommendation from DMC also was English. But we feel that with enhancing the special ed teachers' staff development, giving them some training, they're already pretty good at teaching reading and writing to the special ed kids, as well as you receive English in a lot of content areas, whereas math tends to be very math specific, of course, spilling into science. And then review the internal due process procedures and look at the roles and responsibilities around due process. There are federal guidelines. There are state guidelines. The state of Minnesota exceeds the federal guidelines pretty significantly in their due process requirements for kids on an IEP. But there are ways that internally we can review and maybe streamline and give some additional assistance to the staff in the area of due process. And then last on this page, increase the student contact time with speech and language therapists, so that would be following the recommendation of DMC to have more face-to-face time for kids who require speech and language therapy. Assess reorganization of the Student Services Department to increase social work and school psychologist support to students. Deeper analysis of the educational assistance roles and responsibilities, and that will come through the DMC study that they'll be working with us this spring. And then DMC will provide us additional training with the DM planning software tool. And what that is that's basically what they use to generate the report that I've shared with you and generate some recommendations. But they then train us so that we can use it and continue to do our own analysis and our own surveys and our own studies and come up with our own recommendations in future years, so that we don't have to be reliant on DMC or another organization. We can do it ourselves. Any questions?
Questions, comments for Nicole? Yeah.
I just want to back up. I did have a comment on the class size.
Yes.
One thing that I hear a lot is that for the lower grades, class size really matters. But for the upper grades, what matters more is the quality of the teacher and that teacher's ability to engage the students and teach them. I don't know if you had any comment on that, but I know we focus a lot on class size in our district.
There is a lot of research that the lower the grade, the more critical it is, the smaller the class. And that's why, the school board very wisely has set those ratios lower in the primary and intermediate, and secondary. It gets to be bigger ratios of student to teacher. The other comment I want to say is I think we have quality teachers, pre-K through 12 in this district. But I definitely have read the research, as well as Director Burkus has, on smaller class size being really critical for our youngest learners. And the school board has done a very nice job keeping that number low, and the management works very hard to keep that number low as well. Also, one of the things that they don't ask or consider in the study is how many adults are working with those students. So they ask you, in one classroom, how many bodies are there? And what, in our collaborative model, where we have at certain classes at all grade levels, we have collaborative teachers with EL, we have special ed teachers pushing in, we have reading corps, we have volunteers in the community that come in. So really, our kids are really getting a great dose of adult people working with them, teaching them, and interventions. So even though we should be very proud about our low class size in the elementary, it really doesn't even tell the whole story, that they're really even smaller as far as adult student ratio.
Great, thank you.
I can't obviously speak on behalf of the whole board, but certainly, you know, if the research would change over time, I mean, I think once upon a time when the board made that decision to keep the class sizes lower, it was based on research. So, you know, it's not something that, and recommendations of you and others, that we just didn't, you know, come up with it,
Right.
you know, ourselves. So my point is as things change and evolve, that probably would too, if they do, you know. So that was my only comment, so.
Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with being data-driven, that
Right.
we're always keeping our finger on the pulse
Yeah.
of what works.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, first reading on some board policies, 208, development, adoption, and implementation of policies, 533, wellness, 615, testing, accommodations, modifications, and exemptions, 620, credit for learning, 624, online learning options, 707, transportation of public school students, 904, distribution of materials by non-school persons. These policies will appear on a future agenda item for approval. So, yeah.
I did see just a couple typos, and
Yep,
I don't know
I
if we
got
can
'em.
go through them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, on 208.
Yeah, it was meetings instead of meeting.
Yep.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Okay, and then on page 15.
Yep.
Okay,
Got it, thanks.
super.
So, if anyone has any comments, please send them to the board or the superintendent and take a look at them. All right. Next on our agenda are action items, board chair election, and just to recap, Mr. Landwehr and me are up for board chair. So, call roll.
Palmer.
Landwehr.
Bardell.
Bardell.
Larkin.
Bardell.
Landwehr.
Landwehr,
Meyer.
Landwehr.
Lee. Bardell.
Okay, very good. All right, board topics. Any more topics?
I have just one thing.
Oh, sure.
Ted, were you able to check into that issue with WEMAP that I had asked you about? I know you had a
on the
meeting.
salary for.
Yeah, that the
board
increase.
meetings. I did, the word I got was that the salary didn't increase, that it was the same as it was last year.
Did you ask for any paperwork maybe? Could you, because that isn't, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I can look
Yeah.
into it further, but that's what they told me, so.
I'm thinking if I could interject, I think that when Dawn and I checked, and I don't remember the amount, but I think the executive committee received an increase, but the board itself remained the same. Dawn, am I remembering that correctly? We can put in the update what those were. I thought perhaps we had, but if we hadn't, we can put in the update again. Thanks for
And
checking
it's
on
actually
that.
not a salary, it's a stipend, I misspoke.
Right.
Yeah,
No, that's right.
we're not employees.
Thank you for
Good
checking.
point, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say about WEMAP, they are looking to fill the executive committee spot that was left when, Member Lee left, and I put my name in for that, so keep your fingers crossed, hopefully we'll keep filling that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I just want to let everybody know about an event that's going to be happening on Thursday over at the Academy. There is going to be, I believe it's called a solo ensemble. I have it written down somewhere. So the students, the musicians over at the Academy will be performing. I believe that's at 6 p.m. at night, and I think that the public should definitely attend and see what a great program is going on over at the school. I think it's really awesome.
All right, thank you. John, you good?
No, I have nothing to add.
Very good.
I just had one board topic, and that really is about Dropbox and April 8th. In working with Director Hennekins, and I'm going to give him full credit for this tonight, what we'd like to do is a trial run after the board meeting on April 8th by loading everything in on the laptop, the presentational laptop, and then Brian and his staff will then drop that into Dropbox so that you can have that. The word of caution that I would like to say is that because the size of some of the presentations are so large, we have had a retention policy of trying to keep things in there for a year for you all. That won't be possible because it will just be too much, so we'll have to clean it more frequently, but you'll have access. And the only caveat, if someone would come in from the outside and put in the flash drive and we didn't have it mounted in advance, we'd have to track that person down because that wouldn't be immediately happening the next day. So we're going to try that, and then if anybody would need some, perhaps some training, if you'd like to do that at a work-study session, I'm seeing smiles. Perhaps Brian could make that possible at a work-study session so you can just remember how that all works. So that's it for me.
All right, yeah.
If I recall correctly, because I have worked with this at another at a conference, is that you would be able to personally be able to pull those items off, some of that supporting material off to your own computer. So it wouldn't necessarily need to be something that would be have to be held for a year. If we were interested in a particular presentation, we would be able to retain that personally. I believe, is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I just want to say it's very helpful to have those presentations when we talk to our constituents, so.
Well, the directors work so hard on those presentations, it just seems a shame that they're here and then they're gone.
Exactly.
Because it would be nice to be able to refer back to them, for specific things, because often during the course of a presentation, you see this and it's like, okay, maybe I want to say something about that, and, as some of those items I'd like to follow up later with in more detail, so I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, and thank you, Superintendent Kelly, we'll give it a shot and see how it works and go from there. Collect some data and make a decision.
Data-driven.
All right, any other comments? Board topics? All right, we can adjourn at 8:08 p.m.